This week, I got a notice from Facebook that told me last week's post was shared 6,200% more than the previous. That encouraged me. So I'm going to continue to post by video because it seems to be more effective. And I'm fine whether people see this on Facebook or Twitter or 3miracles.info. What I care is that the message be heard. And the message is that God is calling his people to action. Last week we talked about how David must have felt when he stepped onto the field of battle against Goliath. And I hope you felt the nervous energy and imagined yourself in that situation. This week I'd like to take another story from the Bible when the children of Israel were led right up to the promised land, and they sent 12 spies to go in to check out the land and see if it was truly flowing with milk and honey, and also to look at their enemies. And two of the spies came back, and Joshua and Caleb said basically what David had said. The battle is the Lord. The land is flowing with milk and honey. Yes, there are big, strong people in the land that we'd have to fight, but the battle is the Lord's. We're betting on God's promise, not on our own strength. But 10 of the spies came back and told the people, yes, the land is flowing with milk and honey. We could have a much better life in this land that God promised us. But when we look at the warriors that we'd have to fight, they are so big and so strong, they seem like giants to us. And we feel like grasshoppers in our own eyes. We're just small and inconsequential. Imagine how that feels to go through life believing that God has promised you some reward, but not seeing yourself as worthy or able to attain it. Israel as a nation decided not to go and invade Canaan. Instead, they went back into the desert and walked around in circles for 40 years because they didn't want to fight an enemy that appeared stronger and more powerful than them. All that generation died except for Joshua and Caleb, who later led God's army and took over the promised land and made it their own. But they did so with God leading the way, knowing the battle was the Lord's, and they weren't counting on their own strength. Today, America's in the same situation. There is a giant who runs America. There's a giant who takes all the milk and honey for themselves and squanders it. That is the giant of our generation. It is the Federal Reserve. It is the politicians who enable the Federal Reserve and profit from their actions. The only way America as a nation is going to re-enter the land of milk and honey is if we understand the battle is the Lord's, and we go forward with courage against organizations and corporations and politicians and armies and policemen and judges who are much bigger than we are, much stronger than we are. And when you look at it from a worldly perspective, we have no chance at all. But I believe the battle is the Lord's. And I believe a careful inspection of the relationship between the government and the Federal Reserve will reveal enemies of God. I would like a chance to make that happen in my lifetime. I don't want to be part of the generation that walks in circles for another 40 years until a generation comes along with the faith to take on the next giant. I hope you'll think about this, pray about it, and join me. Thank you so much for paying attention. God bless.